to establish this commission of inquiry. Let's bring in now Lionel Adendorf, who is the spokesperson of the inquiry, joining me now via Zoom. Thank you so much, Mr. Adendorf, for making time for us. Good evening.
Thank you so much. It's nice being with you, Clement, and a warm welcome to your viewers.
So why is the commission embarking first on a pre-hearing meeting ahead of the main commission? There are some asking, what's the point of bringing all these institutions and interested persons in a meeting first before beginning the actual work?
Thank you so much for that, for the opportunity to engage with your viewers and to clarify the TRC Cases Inquiry stance on the matter. To repeat what Justice Rampepe, our chairperson, said this afternoon, one, we do not want, this is not a rerun of the TRC process. But we do understand that when a family member has been killed, the family has obviously been traumatized by that experience. They were also traumatized throughout this experience, even when they gave testimony or evidence at the TRC hearing itself in the late 1990s. And this time around, we would assume then that if a 50-year-old mother or a 50-year-old widow who gave testimony or evidence at the time, it's now 30 years later, she will be 80 years old. Yeah. And that's why the TRC Cases Inquiry felt that it is important that, one, we need to be sympathetic, we need to be understanding, and we need to be empowering in our approach. And that is why we decided to have a meeting where we want to discuss an approach, but also how do we move forward given the timelines and the budgets available, so that we can streamline our processes and make sure that we meet all the objectives in our in the promulgation that was issued in May.
Yeah, and speaking of trauma, there is a possibility of re-traumatizing the very people that you're seeking justice for. How is this commission going to protect those victims from re-traumatization?
The TRC Cases Inquiry has made it very, very clear on the guidance of Justice Sisi Rampepe, our chairperson, that we want to offer psychosocial support to those who want to come and submit evidence, those who want to engage with us. And we need a broadened and a better understanding of how things have changed over the years for that particular family or the relatives of that victim, and then make sure that we have an approach that is really, really sympathetic and would not ensure that, yes, there will obviously be emotions, there would obviously be tears, but we want to make sure that our witnesses and those who come to provide evidence would then be supported in all imaginable ways. A second way of doing this is obviously to make sure that the Commission and its work are accessible to those communities. And some part of it might mean that we need to go to the communities, the provinces where we get some of these submissions from, or where people say, but hey, come and listen to me. And that is why the commissioners, that is our chairperson, Justice Sisi Rampepe, the retired Northern Cape Judge President Homo, and then also Advocate Gabriel, they made a real call on all of us to make sure that we reach those people and that we reduce the cost of effort in accessing the commission.
Yeah. What kind of people are you looking at calling as witnesses? I know previously there have been suggestions about whether or not the former president, Thabo Mbeki, for instance, will be called in. I know the foundation, Thabo Mbeki Foundation, once released a statement with the former president dismissing the claims that were made as pure fabrication, the claims that have been made, for instance, around political interference. Vusi Pikoli is one of the people, as the former head of the NPA, who started talking about this, so to speak. Are these the kind of people you will be calling as the inquiry to come and testify? What are we looking at here as possible witnesses?
We would not like to preempt the pre-hearing engagement with the families of victims or the representatives of those families. And secondly, we also do not want to preempt what we would get in the submissions that people would want to make or the evidence that we would want to receive. But I do want to re-emphasize that our work relies heavily on Chapter 6 of the final TRC report that is dealing with the amnesty issues. And the second thing that I think is also important that we need to mention is that one, yes, we are concerned about those that have been accused of atrocities and who have not been investigated and who have not been prosecuted. That is the one part. But we are also concerned, as you have rightfully pointed out, with why is it that a particular case or a number of cases have not been prosecuted or have not been investigated. And we hear various stories about political interference. The Commission at this stage do not have an opinion because we have not even called witnesses. We have not even received any testimony. We have not even started to put pen to paper on the report. So we do not want to say what we will get and where we will find it and what the final conclusions would be. But we really want to nurse this process and allow the South African population, the victims and their families, to engage with us as honest and frank as possible. And we will make the various important assessments at the time when we can.
Will you have the powers to subpoena anyone you may want to come and testify?
That is one power that the TRC Cases Inquiry has, and we would obviously use it if it's necessary. But again, that is up to the commissioners as and when or who or in what instances we would do it. But that is not for now. We would want to assess and see at the time.
Okay, you mentioned that there's a section that deals with amnesty. Well, can you just clarify more on that? What does that mean in terms of the information that will be shared there and the people who will be sharing information that, I don't know, may be incriminating?
Look, as Justice Gampepe have explained this afternoon, that during the TRC, many people were accused of atrocities. Others came voluntarily and admitted to certain atrocities. Then there were a process of amnesty where you would be pardoned, if I can use that word, for the crimes that you have admitted if you were telling the truth and the full truth, and then you would have been pardoned. Then there is obviously a group that, one, were accused of atrocities and they have never even gone to the TRC. A second group is then those people who have gone to the TRC, but they were not given amnesty. And then if you were not then given amnesty, then there were suggestions that you should be investigated and your crimes and atrocities should be then prosecuted. And that has not happened. And those are the two groups, if I may call it that we are actually interested in. And the whole volume 6 of the final TRC report is specifically dealing with the Amnesty Committee's recommendations and decisions.
The proclamation by the President said the Commission should complete its work within, I think, 6 months of its signing, if I'm not mistaken. Justice Gampepe has been known to complete her commissions within the allocated time. Will she be able to complete this work this time around within that time, especially given just how complex the matter is?
Thank you very, very much for emphasizing Justice Gampepe's record on this. But there is one issue that we have discussed this afternoon, that the Commission has started 2 months later. We officially only opened our offices on the 1st of August, so we do have that 2-month backlog. But Justice Gampepe, Judge President Homo, and Commissioner Gabriel have given us the strict timeline to make sure that we complete the work within the available 4 months. And then the report, obviously, within the 3 months thereafter.
Okay.
But they have said, let us look and assess at every time what we need to do, if we need to apply for an extension. Justice Rampepe, as enthusiastic and as diligent as she is, has said to the entire team, let's try. But at the time when we see that it would not be possible, let us then consider all our options. The second thing that I think is important to mention is we do not know who would come forward. We only know about the 23 families now. We will issue at the right point a call for others to come forward as well. And we do not know what we would expect. And it would be based on that we will then be able to make a very fair assessment of the time needs, the budget needs. But I can assure the nation that, as you have rightfully highlighted, Justice Rampepe is known for the fact that she stays within budget and within times, and she has given us, she begged us to make sure that she's not failing on that record of hers.
All right. Lionel Adendorf, thank you so much for speaking to us. He speaks on behalf of this inquiry that will be looking into why the TRC cases have been stalled. I mean, it still boggles one's mind that, over 30 years into our democracy, we're still talking about why there hasn't been successful prosecutions, really, a lot of those. When you look at the TRC cases, the commissioners of the TRC at some point were forced to even write a letter to President Cyril Ramaphosa asking what's going on.